I want to tell you about the moment everything changed for me. Not the moment I left my 22-year television career, at least the day-to-day of it. Not the moment I sat at my kitchen table wondering if I was too late. But the moment I discovered the one metaphor that would become my entire business: the $2 bill. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why being rare is more valuable than being perfect. And I'm going to show you exactly how one of my clients used this framework to go from just another real estate investor to the only person in his category. Let's go. So here's how this all started. April 2024. Feels just like 18 months ago. I had just left my job and I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life. So I knew I wanted to help entrepreneurs. I knew I wanted to help more people. I knew I had 22 years of experience making people famous on television, but I didn't have a name for what I did. I didn't have a framework. I didn't have a positioning statement. I didn't have a brand. I just had experience. And here's the problem with experience. If you can't translate it into identity, well, it's worthless. So I'm reading, I'm researching, I'm trying to figure out how do I articulate what makes me different. And I come across this book by Jesse Cole. You've heard me talk about him. He's one of my entrepreneurial heroes and the founder of the Savannah Bananas. And if you don't know Jesse, look him up. The Savannah Bananas are a baseball team that sells out stadiums. Now, I'm talking not just baseball stadiums, football stadiums. And not because they're the best baseball team, but because they're the only baseball team that treats every game like a circus. They're entertainment first and baseball second. And Jesse tells this story in his book that completely stopped me in my tracks. He writes about being 23 years old, and hearing a speaker named Al Faden. And Al was throwing $2 bills into the crowd and teaching this simple lesson. Normal will get normal results. Different allows you to stand out and get amazing results. And reading that single paragraph triggered a flood of memories I hadn't connected before. It reminded me of my grandmother. My grandmother's name was Charlotte. And in Judaism, there's a tradition called Shaliach Mitzvah, funds for a traveler to do good. The idea is you give money to someone who's taking a trip so they can give it away to someone in need at their destination. So one year, I was traveling on my own. My grandmother gave me $52 bills. Now, I'm going to tell you, this story is how I remember it. There may be some inaccuracies, but you'll get the whole point of it. So every time I traveled, I took one of those $2 bills with me, looking for the opportunity to give it to someone in need. And every time, it reminded me of my grandmother, of how she was always looking to help others. But here's what I realized reading Jesse's book. The $2 bill is not just a reminder, it's a metaphor. The $2 bill is the only bill people don't spend. The only bill that's memorable. The only bill that you have a story about. $2 bill? It's not the best bill, but it's the only bill. And that's when it hit me. Everything I'd been doing my entire life, my career, my shows, my moments, was always pointing to the only versus the best. 60 Days In, probably not the best crime show, but it was the only show where regular people went undercover in jail. Duck Dynasty, was it the best reality family show? I don't know, but it was the only show about that family that was so unique and distinct, they stuck out. An Intervention, probably not the best series about addiction, but it was the only show that captured real interventions. Someone on death's door, and you're just seeing incredible television for the hope that person becomes sober. I had been following a system my entire career, just didn't know it. But I had never created a framework for it. So guess what I did? I created it. Don't be the best. Be the only. Be the only. And the $2 bill brand was born. Now, you might be thinking, hey, that's great, Brad. But I'm not a television producer. How does this apply to me? Well, here's how. Right now, you're probably competing in a very crowded market. You're probably trying to be the best coach, the best consultant, the best real estate investor, the best whatever you do. And the problem with trying to be the best is there's always someone better. Someone with more credentials, more followers, more testimonials, more years of experience. You are climbing a mountain that has no peak. But what if you did something else? What if you climbed a different mountain than nobody else was climbing? Guess what happens? You own that mountain. You name that mountain. And that's what the $2 bill framework does. It helps you stop competing and start creating your own category. So let me show you exactly how this works with a real client. His name is Bob. And I'm just going to change the name because I just want, I don't know if he wants, but Bob. Let's call him Bob. Bob, it's a real story from a real client. He's a real estate investor in Charlotte. And when I met him, he said, I buy houses for cash. And I said, cool, so does everyone else. See, Bob was stuck in the best trap. He was trying to be the best cash buyer. Bob was trying to be the one with the fastest close, the highest offer, the most professionalism. But here's the problem: when you're competing on being the best, you're competing on metrics. And guess what someone can do? They can always beat your metrics. So I took Bob through my process, the same process I'm going to show you at the end of this video. And we discovered Bob's only. Here's what we found. Bob realized that when he meets with sellers, they're stressed. They're overwhelmed. It's often one of the worst days of their lives. They need to sell their house. And John noticed something. These people are so stressed, they often haven't eaten. So what did Bob do? Bob started bringing lunch. Not as a sales tactic, not as a gimmick, because he genuinely cared about the people he was working with. And when we were going through his stories, he told me about this moment. He brought lunch to a seller's house, and the seller started crying. She said, no one has done something like this for me in years. That's when it clicked. Bob isn't just a cash buyer. Bob is the cash buyer who brings lunch. That's his only. Now, when people talk about Bob, they don't say he's a cash buyer. They say he's the guy who brings lunch. And guess what's happening and what will happen? His referrals are going to go up. His close rate is going to go up. His reputation is through the roof. And not because he became a better cash buyer, but because he became the only cash buyer who brings lunch. He created his own category. So how do you find your only? It's not about inventing something new. It's about uncovering what's already there. So here's the process. You ready? Now is the time, probably, maybe you want to bust out your pen. Step 1, you have to own your difference. What makes you weird? What makes you different? What's the thing you sometimes try to downplay? That's the good stuff. For Bob, it was his empathy, his care for people, his willingness to bring lunch. For me, it's my Hollywood background, my television shows, my ability to make people famous. So let me ask you, what's yours? Think about it. What is yours? All right, step number 2. Now you have to narrow your focus. You can't be the only if you're trying to be everything. Bob could have said, I buy houses. I flip houses. I wholesale houses. I do commercial real estate. But instead, he narrowed it down. I buy houses for cash from people who need to sell quickly. That's specific. That's memorable. And step 3, lead with your unique story. Bob's story isn't, I'm a cash buyer. Bob's story is, I bring lunch because I care about people during one of the most stressful moments of their lives. That's a story people remember. That's a story people repeat. And when you complete steps 1, 2, and 3, guess what happens? Step 4, you are the category. Once you find your only, stop competing. Bob isn't competing with other cash buyers anymore. Bob's the only cash buyer who brings lunch. There's no one to compare him to. So here's what I want you to do. I'm launching something on November 10th. November 10th, that something is going to help you discover your only in less than 5 minutes. It's called the Be the Only app. And right now, I'm building a waitlist and I'm building the app. So if you go to 2$2brand.com, sign up. You will be the first to get access when it launches. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to answer 5 questions. That's it. 5 questions. And the app, it's going to generate your only statement. And you're going to have the words to tell the world why you're unforgettable. No more stumbling when someone asks what makes you different. No more 3-minute explanations that make people check their phone because they're bored. Just clarity. That's it. So go to $2billbrand.com right now and join the waiting list, because here's the truth. AI makes you efficient, but being the only makes you unforgettable. Don't be the best. Be the only. Be the $2 bill. And I'll see you the next one.